Hey Amanda, I think we are live now, live on Facebook. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hello, everybody who's watching.
How are you doing, Amanda?
I am great today, thank you. I have been I've been working with a couple of clients this morning, and boring stuff as well. I've done some boring stuff today, Sam, because tax returns are coming soon, aren't they? So all those self-employed people, that word, did I say it out loud? I've been doing a bit of prep. I'm seeing the accountant tomorrow morning, so some lovely stuff and some not so lovely stuff today, but it's a great day.
Yeah. Oh well, nonetheless, we are here. We are about to impact my audience. So, for anyone who, I'm sure a lot of people won't know who you are, Amanda. So, first, boring podcast question: who are you? What do you do? And how do you help people?
Who are you? Who are you? I love that question. So, I'm the Director of Studies at the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy. So I run a school where I train people how to become clinical hypnotherapists. Started off as a regular practicing clinical hypnotherapist myself, but there is such a huge need at the moment to support people with their mental and emotional well-being that I was just crazy busy, and there's a real variety of courses that you can do in sort of mental well-being, and in particular in hypnotherapy. And as it is an unregulated industry at the moment, you could call yourself a hypnotherapist if you want, Sam, with very little experience or none at all. So I wanted to make sure that I was bringing in a really high standard of knowledge, a really high standard of training, and I was whinging a lot about the standard, and thought, well, if you're not happy with something, you've got to get involved and make the change yourself. So I set up the college in January 2020. So we're still a new college, still a new school, and it's just going from strength to strength because I think people are recognising the standard in the training, and people are having really good results working with people as well. So that's me. I'm also a podcaster, and my background is in mental well-being work, but also I work a lot with the mind-body connection. I've worked in body work, massage therapies and physical therapies and energy work for a long time, as well as teaching meditation. So a bit of a tapestry of experiences, education and training and work that have all led me to set up the school here in Newcastle.
Yeah. Amazing. So you help people with physical and mental well-being. I class myself as that kind of person as well. Although my talents, if you like, skills, entirely different field to you. It all leads to the same destination, helping people, right? And that's what you do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I just think the last couple of years have put a huge amount of pressure on people's physical health. You know, we've sat around and watched TV a lot. We've been locked in at home. A lot of us have felt quite scared about going out anywhere. The normality has been very strange. Life's been a little bit weird, and a lot of us have hit the booze, have hit the sugar. We've overeaten, or we've undereaten, or we've started drinking too much. We've maybe not been exercising as much as we have. We've lost those kind of routines and rituals that were really helpful to us in our lives, and getting back into it is something that is a real challenge for many of us. And if we're feeling anxious, so if we're feeling, a little bit low, if we've got a dark mood, if we're struggling with, I hate using labels, but things like anxiety and depression, it can make things like getting out for some fresh air and exercise like a huge challenge. Get back out there, get doing some training, get doing some physical exercise, reconnecting with nature is really hugely important. Speaking with friends, family, working, going to the supermarket are all things we need to do. And a lot of us are struggling just to do the basics at the moment. So anything that we can do to help people to feel good about themselves, feel confident, and have a really good life. Because life's not about survival, it's about living. And we want to help people to live.
I'm in full agreement with you in that, Amanda. And I want to actually touch on the topic of the disconnection, because you've made a couple of good points there about anxiety and depression. Like you, I don't like labels either. I think those are very easy to attach to, which actually keep people stuck, and they don't explain the actual disconnection that they feel. Another word for depression is disconnection. Disconnection. You're disconnected, and that's why you're getting these emotional feedback. But we'll put a pin in that for now. I want to stay with this hypnotherapy stuff, because when Natalie first taught me, by the way, Natalie is someone who works with me inside of my business, who also gets some training off Amanda to become a hypnotherapist, right?
Say, Natalie is absolutely amazing. That lady has so much knowledge. She had so much knowledge when she came to my school anyway, but she is she's an outstanding clinical hypnotherapist.
I agree.
Helping so many people. I'm kind of really proud that she's working with you, Sam, because you've got a real good one there. She's amazing. She's possibly she's right up there with the best in the country, if not the world. So she's brilliant.
Amazing. That's what I wanted to talk about, because when she taught me about this, as you can imagine, you've heard this response probably to hypnotherapy a million times. I was almost like, hypnotherapy, come on. Because what do you say on the telly? You know, do this, do that. They get people doing stupid
around my eyes, not in my eyes, not right.
That's almost like the stereotype of hypnotherapy, but it's not that whatsoever. It's more like deep meditation where you're communicating with your subconscious self, right? That's what I got from it. Can you just confirm with me, what is traditional hypnotherapy, and what's the myths that the average person, the average Joe, might think about it? What's the differences with what you do and kind of the stereotypes?
Because for thousands of years, trance has been used. I mean, the pagans used trance. It's in shamanic practices. It's in the ancient Vedas, and the Hindus used trance. Meditation is a form of trance. It's a light trance state. But many kind of spiritual practices have used hypnosis. They wouldn't have called it hypnosis. That term only came into existence in like the 1800s when James Braid, who was actually an eye doctor, and he was quite fascinated by mesmerization, because Franz Mesmer was touring Europe at the time, teaching people about mesmerization, which was like pre-hypnosis. We didn't know it was hypnosis at that point. And James Braid got really fascinated by it, and he noticed that when his client was gazing into a candle, into a flame, while he was just waiting in his waiting room to be seen, he kind of drifted off a little bit. I don't know. I'm a bit of a daydreamer. I love a daydream, and quite often I'll find myself gazing into nothing, and I'll be like, oh, where am I? I'm back. Okay, now I'm back. That's a natural state of hypnosis that we're going into. It's not really like a woo spiritual thing, although it has been used in lots of spiritual practices. It's a different state of the mind. And at that point, when you are in that trance, and that's what James Braid saw when this client of his was looking into this candle, and he actually responded to orders like stand up, sit down, close your eyes, open your eyes. And what he realised was there was a thing called suggestion, which suggestion just means a mild order. And people respond to orders, people respond to suggestions when they are in this trance state, which is very interesting, because if you think, when you're watching TV, you're kind of not really aware of anything else that's going on around you, just focusing on the TV. Or if you love reading and you're right into your story, and in your head you've got all the visuals going on, or if you're just having a little daydream and just gazing, or having a little chat to yourself in your mind, those are all actual states of trance. So although people think, are you going to turn me into a chicken, or it's some kind of magical, mystical force? It really is a natural state that we go in and out of. We're in and out of trance all day long anyway, but we certainly go into a deeper state of trance at least twice a day. First thing in the morning, the hypnopompic state as we're waking up. I tend to experience this more in the summer, when we have the lighter mornings and the sun will come up before my alarm goes off, and I'll be not quite asleep anymore. I'm not quite awake either. I'm just lying there, and all of a sudden it's like someone's turned up the volume on the birds outside, and I can really hear all the sounds around me. Or last thing at night, just before I go to sleep, I'm not quite asleep yet, I'm snuggled up, I'm under my duvet, and then I think, I can hear the tap dripping.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody's turned up the volume. You know what I mean?
It's like a deeper state of focus, right?
It's an intense state of focus. So people think that hypnosis is like you're asleep, but actually, far from it. You're more alert, you're more focused, you're in a more aware state, a more focused state of awareness. So yeah, you're really alert, actually, which is why some people think, I don't even know if I've been in trance, I had a lovely rest. But actually,
that's exactly what
you're under a spell, you're not really. You're just in a lovely, lovely, deep, relaxed state. And you can hear everything more or less that's going on around you most of the time. Most of my clients can hear what's going on around. You're still very aware of your surroundings. You're just incredibly focused, but you're in a perfect state. You're in the perfect state to make changes.
Yeah, incredible. I love that explanation. So hopefully that's cleared up the differences between, Little Britain style look into my eyes, around the eyes hypnotherapy versus actual real life hypnotherapy. But right now, Amanda, right now we have to put our minds in the people who are listening to this, because they're still going to be where I was. Hypnotherapy, okay, I get it now, but that's still there. It's a load of mumbo jumbo hippie nonsense. What kind of people benefit from hypnotherapy, and what is the purpose behind it?
Do you know, I'm going to put a big sweeping statement. Everyone can benefit from it. So what hypnotherapy does is hypnotherapy communicates with the subconscious. So our body and mind, I don't see body and mind as being two separate things. They're together. So for example, when you are watching a horror movie, you know it's not real. You're not in the movie. You're not experiencing it. You're not there. But just by watching it, I don't know about that, I'm like, run up the stairs. I can feel panic. I have an emotional response. My heart rate might increase. I might get sweaty. I might even get like goosebumps, or like my hair might stand up on the back. It's a really good, scary movie. Similarly, if I'm watching something romantic, I might feel all lovely and sweet. Or if it's erotic, I might get aroused. But my body is responding to my mind, to what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And those responses, I'm not deliberately choosing them. Those responses are automatic. And it's the part of the mind that's responsible for those responses is the subconscious.
Absolutely.
And what they believe is that 90% of all of our responses come from our subconscious. Yep. So if I'm walking through the kitchen and there's some leftover tea from last night, I'll have scooped it up and put it in my mouth before I've even thought about it, because it's my subconscious that's causing me to lead it. Pick it up. If I get a chocolate craving, like, where's that coming from? Where's the craving coming from? That's a subconscious response. If I'm getting scared, like, don't like that, or if I've got a spider phobia, where's that coming from? Well, the reactions, the physical reactions that I'm having in my body are coming from my subconscious. I don't have to tell my belly to digest the spaghetti bolognese that I have just had for my lunch. My body knows how to do it. I don't have to tell my heart rate to increase when I'm running or when I'm scared. I don't have to tell my body to do these things. All of these things happen because of a subconscious response, or a subconscious, an unconscious reaction or response in the body. Absolutely. And that's 90% of everything. Yeah. It's amazing. So what we do with hypnosis is we communicate with that 90% powerful force, and that's what we change.
I just want to stay on you with this one, because my job, I work with emotional leaders, right, to help them to understand why they keep turning to food for comfort, to lose weight in sustainable ways, because maybe they've been training with personal trainers before. I was a personal trainer, Amanda, and I could only help the people that stuck with it. What about the people who couldn't? So I started to wrap my brain to think, what's actually going on here? And I realized that they had an emotional eating problem. They were eating out of emotion, not logic. Why? Because of previous traumas, because of a coping strategy, a stress relief management, or whatever. But realizing the subconscious thing, I actually heard 95% of our thoughts and decisions are subconscious. You said 90, so it's a lot, right? Let's just agree on that. But people are turning to food for comfort. Why? And I established a link. And this is pretty
interesting. I mean, food is fuel, but it's also meant to give us comfort. We are supposed to get comfort from food. The rest and digest is the relaxation part of the brain and the mind and the body working together. And so that's why after we've had a nice meal, we do feel a bit sleepy and we do feel more relaxed. Food is supposed to be comforting. The issue that we have is that throughout our whole lives, we've been given lots of suggestions. We've been given lots of orders. Wherever we look, we're surrounded by suggestions. So my favourite suggestion for food is the Marks and Spencer's advert. Have you seen the Marks and Spencer's advert?
I can't.
It's like sexy food, sexy chocolate bomb, and they have a right a lovely voice, and it's all really lovely food. Well, it's making suggestions to you. There's programming everywhere. That programming starts at a really young age. Go on, Sam.
I heard we get bombarded with 40,000 advertisements a day on average. That could be the brand on my clothing. It could be the apps, the social media apps. It could be the TV advertisement. Driving past the motorway or seeing a billboard, a McDonald's sign. 40,000 messages a day. Buy this product. Look like this. Do this. Look at L'Oreal. They're branded because you're worth it. You're not worth it unless you buy our product.
All the time, even if you use them or not, so those products. But absolutely.
So remember what you said about the subconscious programming. What did we do when we immediately cried when we were born, Amanda? When the baby was delivered and it cried, what happened?
Well, you go to the breast and
you go fed immediately. Programmed on your brain. The baby can't articulate its feelings. It just cries because it feels uncomfortable. Bang, straight away. Computer program. Data downloaded. Turn to food for comfort when you feel anxious, down, depressed, uncomfortable, sad. Also, let's celebrate it. Christmases, birthdays, Easter's, food. People have an emotional eating problem because it's been programmed on their subconscious. So this is what I do. I tell people, stop trying to solve your eating problem with diets and training programs. Those are going to help, but we really need to be communicating to the subconscious here. Otherwise, nothing will change. That's why people try and lose weight and they give up because they can't, because they've got subconscious programming telling them to turn to food for comfort. It's the brain's job to keep you out of pain and into pleasure. It's the brain's job to get you out of discomfort into comfort. It's the brain's job to keep you alive. Unfortunately, the subconscious brain doesn't care if you're 3 or 5 stone overweight. It cares about getting you safety away from the saber-tooth tiger, up a tree so it can't get you. That's all it cares about. And that's my analogy that I use for emotional eating all of the time. Yeah, it's subconscious.
It's interesting when you look at babies and they haven't experienced all of that programming yet. They haven't had the birthday parties with the sweets and the cakes and the biscuits, and they haven't had Christmas with the chocolate gold coins and all of the other delights that we have. They haven't had all of the birthday parties and Christmas parties. They haven't been told, eat up all your dinner so you can be a big girl or a big boy. They haven't been told, eat all your dinner up so you can have your pudding, so they eat beyond full so they can have more. They haven't had as much programming at that age. And when you look at how a baby eats and drinks, it's really interesting. Like a baby will go, I want the food. And then, of course, mum will step in with a boob or with a bottle and that food will be given. But when they've had enough, it all just runs down the side of the face. So when they've had enough, they'll start playing with it and it'll be all over their hair and everywhere. It's quite. But children only eat what they need.
For purpose.
And then they stop.
Nourishment.
And it's like,
they haven't been corrupted by the programming yet. They eat enough. They've got that authentic food rhythm. They eat when they're full. And if they overeat, they'll be sick. And then they'll remember, I shouldn't overeat. And they'll get them natural responses with the brain to the body. Stop when you're full. Yeah, we can learn more off babies than we can learn from adults, because we are all just babies with iPhones and corrupted programming. We are.
That's exactly right. I love that. We're all babies with iPhones and corrupted programming.
iPhones and mortgages and car payments, but we're babies.
We have experienced this programming, which has caused us to constantly reach for foods that are toxic or dangerous to our bodies, or highly stimulating, because they're very sugary things are highly stimulating. So we've kind of learned and been programmed away from that natural thing. I mean, we've got an inbuilt signal to tell us when we need to go to the bathroom. We've got an inbuilt signal to tell us when we're tired and we need to sleep or rest. But we've also got an inbuilt signal that tells us when we're hungry and what we want to eat or what we need to eat to fuel our bodies. But we've been programmed away from that. We've been programmed out of it. So what hypnotherapy does is it hits the reset button. It takes you back to that latent, innate, inbuilt, natural programming, and we really tune you in to being aware of, I'm going to eat food until I feel satisfied, and I'm going to eat what I really fancy. I'm going to eat what I really desire, and those things are probably, because I'm now in tune with my body again, they're now going to be a lot healthier, those choices. And I never tell people to stop eating sweets and cakes and chocolate, because I absolutely want a lovely, comforting thing. We've got a bit of a delay, Sam, so I didn't hear what you said there. Say that again.
I said food's a pleasurable experience, and we should not defy that. But we should also have that inbuilt defense mechanism, if you like, or whatever you call it, the feedback to say enough's enough. This is what I call authentic food rhythm. This is what I try and get people to have. Turn to me as an emotional eater who are maybe struggling with eating disorders, struggling with anxiety, depression. They've been using food for a coping mechanism. They come to me and I get to the bottom of what their disconnections are, what are their unmet needs, why do they feel in a state of fight or flight, so they're relying on food for comfort to fill those emotional voids that they feel. And the ultimate goal is where there is no food guilt. They can have, I'm having a takeaway at night with my partner because and that's it. But I also know that I've got to back that up with some better eating habits around that. There's no guilt, there's no binging, there's no restricting. It's authentic. That's my ultimate goal for people. But I've done a training for my guys this week.
Mindfully is really beneficial as well, like becoming aware of where your foods come from. Thinking about the food that you've got, a bit of gratitude for your food that's on your plate, and when you eat mindfully and you think, I wonder where this food's come from, your desire to eat like massively overproduced food that's got no nutrients in it at all kind of dwindles, and you want more healthy, fresh, vibrant, rainbow coloured foods on your plate that are going to really nourish you and feed you and give you all that lovely comforting sensation as well. We really want that. So
this is my personal theory, Amanda, and you might be able to chime in on this. I've done a training for my guys last week, like an online workshop for the people in my program, and I said to them, there's the three brains. You would have heard of that: the projection, the lizard brain, the different stages, the three brains that are linear. And for us to create and project, we have to. Our brain is a pattern recognition machine. It needs to close the pattern and say, we are safe. All it's asking is, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? So when people have got jobs they hate, they've got a lack of connection to nature, when they've got an abusive relationship, or they haven't healed from previous traumas, when they've got things in their life that are causing them to be in a state of fight or flight, their brain cannot close the pattern on safety. So they're in a state of fight or flight. The amygdala is overstimulated. It's producing cortisol. It's producing anxiety and stress. This person can never, ever communicate with their authentic self if they are in this stage. So I tell all emotional eaters, you will never ever lose weight unless you figure out how your brain can close the pattern and say, I am safe. So it's not about food, it's about your life. What's going on in your life? What do we need to do to make you feel safe so you can minimize the threat? You can get out of the lizard brain, the protection. You can say to your brain you're safe, and then when you feel safe, you won't be seeking safety in food, because that's all people are doing. They're seeking safety because they feel uncomfortable. That's what's going on. So I really do think this subconscious programming, hypnotherapy, deep meditation, working with me in my program, working with people like yourself can absolutely help people with eating disorders, emotional eating, cure anxiety and depression, because it's not an external problem. It's a subconscious problem. And people are trying to paint over the cracks with diets, it's deep. It's deep subconscious work. And I always say this, it's a subconscious response to a threat, to a stimulus. like a saber-toothed tiger running towards a human 100,000 years ago, the human isn't going to stand there and go, right, can I logically get out of the way of this? Can I fight this? No, it just gets the hell out of there. That's what's going on in our brain. Anytime we feel a threat, our brain is saying, you are not safe, which means logic's out the window, because people know eating crap and takeaways every day is not logical. They know it's going to hurt them, yet they do it anyway, because it's not logical. It's emotion linked to the subconscious programming of perceiving a threat, getting out of danger. People have to understand this if they struggle with emotional eating or they struggle to lose weight. That's what's going on. This is why people can't stick to diets, Amanda.
Yeah, I always say that diets are, the first three letters in the word diet is how diets make you feel. D-I-E, die. They make you feel like you want to die when we start restricting and punishing ourselves. Yeah. It's not going to work. It's about establishing, like you said, it's about establishing a really healthy relationship with ourselves, making sure that we're not in that fight or flight space where we can't learn, where it's difficult to change. It's about having a really good mindset and making sustainable, achievable goals that are you can do it. You can really do it. But when you've got the right mindset, well, it just becomes easy.
Yeah, I know. It's all about unmet needs. When we don't have our needs met, that will cause us to eat. It will cause us to drink alcohol, take drugs, seek sympathy and praise and support from other people. We'll look for comfort from an external source that can be manifested as alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, spending money on shit we don't need, shopping. Yeah, other people. Like, this is what happens to the human brain when we don't feel safe. And we've created a society where people don't have a clue about what's actually going on in here. And they just listen to the traditional medical advice. Take this, have this pill. This is what's wrong with you. He has a label to make you feel even more disempowered. And it's like, oh my God, as someone who classes themselves as a bit of a spiritual person, a bit more deeper connection to nature, actually understands human behavior and what's going on. This blows my mind, and it breaks my heart as well that some people who I know I could help, I could save their life, they will not have it because they think they've got an external label problem that's stopping them from getting these results. And I'm like, it's not. You're just not getting your needs met. You've got huge emotional voids in your life. You turn up to work every day that you absolutely hate your job. You cannot ever get out of fight or flight if you hate your job, if you hate your very existence, if you dread Monday morning every single week and you have to feel like you've got to put on this brave mask to the world. You're, Sigmund Freud, the super ego, the authentic ego, what he's saying, your ego's in a state of fight or flight, but it's telling you, if you leave this job, you're going to be worthless. You're going to have bills and debt, and you can't do it. You're trapped. You're not good enough. You've got to stay here. This is what your negative ego's self-talk's telling you. And it's like, no, we need to break this down and strip it away so we can get the authentic self communicating with the super ego and break down all wounds and figure out what are the root causes of emotional disconnection that you feel, because that's why people have addiction problems.
Absolutely. And when we step away from being authentic, and when we do things that we hate, when we do things that feel really uncomfortable, or when we're putting ourselves in a dangerous situation, that step away from that authenticity is actually, that is trauma. That traumatizes us because we're not being true to ourselves. We're not taking care of ourselves, and that is punishing, and that is trauma. That disconnection is there, and it's great that you can see that in the people that you're working with as well, because that's so important. And once people have recognized, I'm really unhappy in this aspect of my life, and there are actually really simple things I can do to change that, and I'm going to do that. How empowering is that? As an experience, it's wonderful.
The super ego's job, Amanda, you probably already know this, is to justify your current emotional state. It's to basically pass the blame from your authentic self and go, that's the reason why I'm depressed. That's the reason why my life's all over the place. That's the reason why I feel the way that I do. It's not me, it's that. But really, that stops us from being authentic, because the problem's never external, it's always internal. And I'm going to choose my words carefully here. It's not necessarily a problem. It's feedback. It's feedback.
Yeah.
I was getting
fear-based. Yeah. And it comes right back to what you were saying about, essentially our subconscious is there to keep us alive. And the ego is gonna give you, well, you chose this, even though it was bad for you, because of this reason. It's going to give you the reasons for those bad choices, which will make you feel better, but it's still traumatizing and it's still disconnecting you.
Well, it splits you off even more. It splits
Yeah.
your authentic ego, your authentic self, and your fragile ego, super ego. It splits it even more. There's even more of a void now. You're getting further and further away. And I know so much about this because I've worked with over 1,000 people who are emotional eaters and stuff. There's no one in this country who's got as much data as me on emotional eating. I've saw everything. I've saw every connection, every theme. My superpower, Amanda, is connecting the dots to behaviors and seeing what's going on behind the scenes. And I also had eating disorders myself. I wasn't massively overweight. A lot of people think that emotional eating is linked to people who are obese and can't stop eating. That's not the case. I was in shape. I was ripped. I was 6% body fat because I was completely bodybuilding. I was a personal trainer. I valued my entire identity and self-worth on how good I looked. However, I had an emotional disconnection in my life at the time. And I knew, my subconscious self knew, when I was feeling anxious, when I felt depressed, I used to get panic attacks in the nighttime where I literally thought I was dying. If I went downstairs and ate 25 slices of toast with jam and peanut butter on, I would get to sleep and I'd survive another day. So my subconscious knew, if you feel like this, in danger, I'm creating this sense of fight or flight. I didn't know why at the time. We'll move on to the disconnections that caused that. And I was massively disconnected. I was abusing my body. Relationships weren't going very well. I was comparing myself to others. My self-worth was built on sand, not built on solid foundation. I was doing the wrong things. I was judging people. I would say I was violent, not physically, but I had very violent thoughts where I would call people and verbally berate people if I didn't like them. But really, that was just a distraction of my ego from myself. And I was creating huge amounts of panic attack from it. And then I couldn't figure it out. Why do I keep binging? And then I was sticking my fingers down my throat after I try and get it up. Believe me, restricting for weeks after it happened. And I was overwhelmed. I'm going to be honest. Suicidal thoughts crossed my mind at the time. So I thought, I can't handle this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I managed to connect the dots, and I've got a good brain. I mean, I blow my own trumpet here, but I know I do. I know I've got a good brain, and I saw it, and I thankfully got some help, and I overcome it. And now that's my mission, to help other people. And it breaks my heart when I see people trying the wrong things. And I'm like, if only you knew what was really going on. There is no pill in the world that pharmaceutical companies can design that's going to cure you from your subconscious disconnections. There isn't.
If there was a pill, we'd have all had it by now. And if all these diet clubs worked, well, we'd all be members and we'd all be skinny and we'd all be super healthy. But they don't work. Otherwise, they'd work. They don't work. They might work while you're attending it and you're sticking with it. But the language even that we have around it is not healthy. Like, for example, we talk about losing weight. When we lose something, what do? We want to go find it. So you go, hey, well done, you've lost this amount of weight this week, well done. And you go out and and your subconscious goes, well, that was traumatic, let's find it. That was a horrible thing. I didn't enjoy that, let's go find it.
You naturally begin to value what you're previously void of. So if you've had to starve yourself to lose weight, all of a sudden when you're out of danger, all right, I've lost the weight now, I'm all right. Subconscious nature kicks back in, eat. Yo-yo diet culture invented overnight. There we go. And this is why yeah, I know. And I was a personal trainer for years, and I was in this cycle. I was just giving people what they want. I didn't know any different. Well, that's why I totally went, I am not personal training anymore. This is not helping people solve the problems. It's actually creating more. I'm out of this. I refuse to be involved in this anymore. I'm going to do something else. And thankfully, 2 years later, I've got a good business that's going very well because of this whole mindset stuff. It's all mindset.
It really is. It really is all mindset. It's amazing, isn't it? Amazing. Few simple tweaks and changes, a bit of support, find out what your needs are, and it's real transformation. I used to be a size 28, Sam. I was massive. And I struggled to sit in plastic chairs. Them plastic chairs, the garden chairs and plastic chairs like that. Couldn't sit on a plastic chair because my bum wouldn't fit in it. I was absolutely huge, and I trained in this, so I got to experience it myself, and it's completely transformed my life. And I've recovered from clinical obesity and borderline diabetes. I'm not even borderline now, and I've also had problems with my heart, and that's healed as well. So this stuff really heals very deeply, and it's mindset.
I believe the body and what the earth has given us is capable of healing any mental health issue or any physical health issue. I honestly believe that. I believe the power of the mind, communicating with the natural gifts the earth has given us, combined with our willingness to do this, our open-mindedness to do this, because you could get someone in your hypnotherapy studio and you could say, right, this person's been through some trauma. This is the reason why you feel the way you do. You're depressed, you're anxious, you're overeating, you've got addiction problems. If we go back and communicate with this subconscious, whatever, if that person decides, I'm not doing this, nothing will change, right? That open and willingness to change has to be there. And unfortunately, I get people, I'm just going to be honest, I get some messages from people who don't agree with the things that I say. They say, my doctor said this, my doctor said that. How fucking dare you? Where's your qualifications? I'm like, you know what? There is no qualifications, because there's no qualifications for this
people
stuff.
rely on doctors because GPs have 8 hours of nutritional training. 8 hours of nutritional training. And I don't think they're qualified in personal training or in exercise and fitness. So people rely on these gods of medicine, and they really don't have the training. And I actually think it's irresponsible of GPs to give that kind of advice. I think they should be referring people on to people like yourself who do know, who have got the knowledge, who have got the experience and do know what they're talking about, and are combining mind and body, exercise, mindset, work, and good eating behaviors as well, all together, because we're a one body, mind body holistic package, and that's what we need to work with as well, the whole body and the mind. You can't just fix a finger. You need to fix the entire body. It's a whole body thing. Yeah, amazing. Totally agree.
It's amazing.
It's frustrating though, isn't it?
It is a little bit, but I've worked on my mindset over the years and my kind of acceptance thing. And one of my biggest flaws, I'll admit, I'm a problem solver. I'm a man, obviously. I'm a high level problem solver. I did for a long time. I valued myself on my ability to get shit done. I think that's a lot of men's problems. And when they can't get shit done, they take it on themselves. And it used to get a little bit depressed when I couldn't help a client. But now I'm just like, you know what? The clients that I can help make themselves known to me. And the ones that aren't ready to be helped yet, they might give us a bit of shit, but I'm all right with it. I'm generally okay with it. Or you'd have a laugh if I showed you some of the messages I get on the emails and stuff. Because obviously I'm marketing my business, right? So of course I've got marketing strategies and techniques that I use people to, I use to get my name out there. Otherwise people wouldn't know who I was. I get some shit off people, unfortunately, but I'm okay with it now. I'm like, you know what it is? The people who I need to help, who are meant for me and who are meant for them, I believe. And I get people saying this all the time. Sam, I was meant to find you. I'm so glad I stumbled across you. I hear this every day. So it's humbled my ego, but it's also protected my self-worth by going, you know what? I am doing a good thing, and that's all that I need to matter. Instead of the ones I can't help, I focus on the ones I can.
Absolutely. And you're going to draw to you people who are right for you because of the scientific principle of entrainment. Birds of a feather flock together. That's a fact. We look for things that are familiar to us. We look for familiar patterns. We look for things that we can have a rapport with or a connection with. See, there are going to be people that are just not going to want to work with you because they're not going to like the level of honesty that you give them. But they're not your clients, and I think that's find someone else, find something else.
Amazing.
Look how that works.
I'll transition into a little bit different stuff that I wanted to ask. So some of the traditional therapy stuff, because Natalie done one of me in this very office. I was lying down there, and one of the things she was communicating with me was basically putting my subconscious self in touch with this ideal future vision that I had of myself and getting them to communicate. I was generally doing that. So it almost like drummed up some issues that I had with self-worth and confidence, and highlighted the problems, then got them to communicate with the future, what I wanted to become, and to kind of put them on the same level. And once I finished, I wasn't asleep. I was actually distracted by the seagulls outside. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't even in a full trance. But I was like,
that may have been a full trance, actually.
Yeah, maybe. But the question she asked, it got me to communicate with my subconscious self. And you know what I realized in that moment? We are so fucking distracted, Amanda, with phones, with people, with technology, with jobs, with bills, with cars. When do you sit there and actually ask yourself, what do I want my life to look like? Or what parts of my life am I not happy with? When do we do that? Life has become a distraction for people, and all of a sudden they're in their 40s and 50s, mortgaged up to the eyeballs, bills coming up their ears, and they're like, what happened? What happened?
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart. And I'm in my mid-20s, I'm 27 2 weeks time. I figured this out when I was 23. I haven't really had a panic attack since I was about 23, because I knew exactly what it was. The disconnection that I felt about life, the way that I felt was the exact feedback that I needed to have to remind me, you should not feel like this. What's actually going on? And I was trying to escape it. And that's why I kept on getting it, because I kept climbing the tree, only to come down again. The monster was still there. I didn't solve the problem. I didn't make that monster go away. I just ran away from it. Emotional avoidance, that was the thing. And Natalie communicated that with me, that to say I always need to be in touch with previous self, things that's happened, because that's data for your life and you have to learn from it, even the traumatic stuff. But then cancel out the noise, create space at certain parts of the day or the week, make it a ritual, and then communicate with this higher self, if you like, this higher power, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. That I believe is, I don't say predetermined. I think your actions in the moment predetermine where you're going. I think any time. But I've got this vision about where I want my life to be at. I might not know who I am, but I know who I'm not. And I strip away who I'm not. And what's left is the path that I think I need to go on. And Natalie allowed me to communicate with both of them. And after it, I was like, you know what? I'm actually on track on that. I'm doing all right. And that was it. That was huge. That was a huge breakthrough. And that was the power of my experience with hypnotherapy. I wasn't doing my mad shit, running around the office, take my pants off and my clothes off. I wasn't doing that. Thank God. I don't think she'd be working for us if I did that. But I had a breakthrough. So what breakthroughs have you saw people have, Amanda?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've been doing this job for a long time now. Early days, I was working in the NHS. I was a nurse and I looked after people with spinal injuries. But a lot of my clients, even though they were quadriplegic and ventilated, so paralysed from the neck down and had machines to breathe for them, shouldn't have had any sensation in their body, but did. So I've seen huge amounts of breakthroughs, if you like, in the areas of pain management, because I've been able to help people to reduce the pain and in many cases eliminate pain. And for lots of clients, I've worked with people with Parkinson's, I've worked with people with ME, I've worked with people sort of with those kind of low energy, chronic pain conditions, where basically they're just given medication after medication after medication and fobbed off. Here's a label, here's some medicine, off you go. Well, we'll come back next week, we'll try you on a different medication. Come back. And it's like they've just become like an experiment for different medicines, and nobody's really dealing with what's going on in their lives and their lifestyles, what experiences have they had that's causing their bodies to respond or react in this way. It's it's just the most beautiful thing to see, Sam, when people come in and they're in a lot of pain and they kind of say to me, do you know what, I haven't had any discomfort or even any pain for a really long time now. It's amazing. So in that way, I've seen transformations. I also work with people who struggle with natural fertility. Like you were saying, the health of people is it can be quite poor. We're commuting, we're breathing in chemicals and toxins from the environment. We're on our phones, we're occupied. We're little drug addicts, aren't we? We're like, get a little ping, gotta pick up my phone, like Pavlov's dogs, and we're always looking for the next hit, the next high, the next purchase, the next promotion, the next thing. And that kind of lifestyle is not very conducive for natural fertility. So I work with people, and I guess the tangible thing of that is there's a baby. So I love working in natural fertility.
That's great. That's literally producing life, Amanda. That's creating life. That's the most authentic thing ever.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's just helping people get to the place where they are actually really fertile and really well and really prepared for being parents. And I think, there's a lot of fear as well in that as well. So fertility, and then right through pregnancy, healthy pregnancies, and right through to birth, where I support women to have beautiful, natural, enjoyable birthing experiences, because there's a whole heap of negative programming around birthing as well, which is quite negative and scary and traumatic, and it doesn't have to be that way either. And then I have obviously in my own life had massive transformations, but I mostly work nowadays with people who've had traumatic experiences. I work with people who've been blown up, who've had horrific accidents, who are experiencing trauma or experiencing the effects of a traumatic incident. And that might be causing them to have fears or phobias. It might be causing them to have anxiety. It might be causing them to relive the negative experience that they had in their mind over and over again. To relieve somebody of that is just an honor, and it's a privilege. It's beautiful, beautiful work, and I love seeing it. But in my own life, this is 5 years this year. In my own life, I had a liking for drugs and alcohol 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago now. I was heavily had a very intense relationship with alcohol. I was drinking litres and litres of booze each day, and also using cocaine and marijuana mostly, but I would pretty much take anything. Prescription medications were very much a part of that. I was on lots of diazepam, and I was on lots of tramadol and other pain relieving medications as well. So I was mixing pain medications, and hypnotherapy is really what healed me from really unhealthy addictions with drugs and alcohol, and really unhealthy addictions with food. And now it's motivating me to exercise. And I box 3 times a week, which is really out of my comfort zone, and I bloody love it, Sam. It's amazing. I have so much fun. And, I'm healthier and I'm happier and I'm really comfortable being me in my own skin. And I'm a little bit crazy and wild and eccentric, and I love that too. And it's just nice to wake up in the morning and not feel like there's a dark shadow sitting on the end of my bed waiting to get me, which is kind of what I feel depression was like for me. And feel anxious about going shopping and kind of deal with speaking to people today. I just don't have those feelings anymore. It's transformed my life, which is why I guess I promote it so much, because I have experienced massive transformation in my own life. And that is really, I want to share this with everybody, because it's really,
I've
really...
got the same message. Same message for me. We said the qualification thing before. I've had people say that to me. How can you stop me binge eating, Sam? Where's your qualification? Apart from the 2 degrees I've got in nutrition and psychology, I've had an emotional eating disorder myself. I've worked with over 1,000 people who've also had emotional eating. Here's my results. Here's my testimonials from hundreds of people. Do I need a bit of paper to tell you that I've got the NHS ticky box exercise, that I'm an eating disorder therapist? No, because they've done 8 hours of nutritional science, and they got their qualification to help people with eating disorders, and they've never had one themselves. Okay, they bother. So that's my mission as well. I've been through this and I know what it's like. And I want before we wrap up, because we've been on for about 50 minutes, but we'll keep on going. So I want to touch on one more point. The disconnection that I mentioned before, and you've obviously struggled with addictions. I have as well, and it's only been this year that I look back that I actually admit that. Again, my ego telling me I haven't got a problem with alcohol, I haven't got a problem with cocaine. Yet I went out every day, every week, from the age of probably 14 to about 17, drinking every single week religiously. I mean, on school nights as well with friends. That's just kind of what we do in the Northeast. It's kind of part of our culture. But then going out clubbing, it's drugs every single week, and it's just to have a good time.
You're drunk, you plateau on a drunkenness, so you take a few lines of coke so you can drink more. And it becomes, that's a normal weekend for a lot of people.
Exactly. But then I realized, looking back now, I'm thinking, why did I feel the need to do that? I was disconnected from who I wanted to be, from my identity. And I've studied a lot on depression and the root causes, because I felt depressed for years without even realizing it. Have you heard of a gentleman called Jonathan Hari?
Yeah, I have. I'm trying to think where I've heard that name though. Is he?
He's been on TED Talks. He's been on TED Talks. He's got a world famous book out there, I'm sure it won awards, called Lost Connections, The Root Causes of Anxiety and Depression. That book changed my entire life. Why? Because it revealed that there's 9 causes of depression and anxiety. And by the way, anyone listening, anxiety and depression, it's almost the same emotion, just on the low energy and the high energy scale. It's kind of the same emotion on a different spectrum. One's high, one's low. So there's 9 root causes. Only 2 of them are biological. That means brain chemistry issues. Only 2 of them. So that, yes, some people need medication to help with their serotonin, that sort of stuff. But that cannot be activated, even in individuals who have the predetermined gene with the biological conditions, without environmental force first. And that book proves it. And some of the disconnections that people feel, lack of meaningful connection to nature, cooped up inside all of the time, not relying on organic, natural food, eating crap all the time, disconnected from nature. Our body's natural response system is to remind them, hey, you're not connected. He has a form of disconnection, some scary emotions to remind you. Lack of meaningful identity. People don't know who they are. They're on this work a bee thing, they're running around crazy, they're distracted, they don't even know what they like to do. Disconnection from meaningful values. Like I was back in the day when I was massively struggling with panic attack, my number one value, how many people can I impress when I take my shirt off? That was my identity, built on that. That was a terrible value. So I was living my entire life on that value. No wonder I was unfulfilled, because that's not real. That's not internal. Yeah. Other forms of disconnection of things like lack of a purpose. If you wake up and you're like, what's the point? Disconnection from a meaningful future. That's the number one. Depression means disempowerment. When you feel disempowered, you feel hopeless to change your circumstances. You feel powerless to feel better. You feel like it's generally outside of your control. So you give up. And that's how I felt. I couldn't see past my own darkness. I felt hopeless.
And the subconscious can't communicate.
It can't. Yeah. Learning why you feel disconnected in the first place.
In words. So, the subconscious doesn't have words. The subconscious communicates with us through emotions and feelings. The subconscious communicates to us with health conditions and pain. So if you're anxious, it's your subconscious telling you something. If you're in pain, it's an alarm. It's your body's going, woo, woo, something needs to change. Something needs to happen.
That's exactly what anxiety is.
If you're overweight, if you've got issues with your health, if you've got issues with your wealth, your finances, your life, with all of those things that are external, you need to do the internal work first, just like you have, Sam, really. And it's an ongoing process, isn't it? But it can be a beautiful process, and it's not scary. It can be very much about...
It feels scary at the start, but you learn very fast. And this is, you heard of Jordan Peterson? You heard of him? He's quite famous.
Yeah.
I heard a video that he'd done. This was when I was rock bottom. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was literally borderline suicidal. That's how bad I felt, because I just felt so out of control, so hopeless. And I know I've got a creative brain. I know I'm quite intelligent, or I have the potential to be intelligent if I value it and I put the work in. I've always had that. And I was like, I've got to learn about anxiety. I need to know what this is. So I went to hospital a few times, twice. I'm dying. There's something wrong with us. Nothing wrong. Scans, blood tests. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just feeling anxious. I was like 19-year-old when I first started. I was like, what's that? What's anxiety? I thought that means you're nervous. I'm not nervous about anything. I genuinely feel fine. And then all of a sudden, I feel like I'm going to die. I feel like I can't breathe. My heart's beating. I'm getting pains in my chest. I feel so scared, and I don't know what I'm scared of. What's going on with us? And Jordan Peterson said something in a video. I wish I could find it, but I can't find it. I've tried to look for it. He said anxiety only affects people with a high creative intellect. And anxiety is an emotion that people feel who are creative, who are not solving enough inspiring problems. Therefore, they are focusing on uninspiring problems. And I was like, oh my God, my entire life is focused on problems that I wish I didn't have. What am I not doing that I really want to do? And I realized people were messaging me, Sam, are you doing personal training? I was so scared and so low in confidence. I was making up lies as to why I couldn't do it. I was canceling clients the night before. I was staying in the house all day because I didn't want to be judged. I had an eating disorder that I wasn't accepting. I was in denial about. I was like, that's why I'm having panic attacks. I'm lying to myself. I'm not listening to this anxiety. It's an alarm bell going off telling me you've got creative talent. Do something with it. You're not. So here's some fucking anxiety to remind you, to scare you into doing it. And I didn't listen. In that moment, my life changed. I was like, right, I've got to push myself towards things that make me feel uncomfortable. And I have a lot of clients. I try and challenge them on this. They will say, my anxiety, that exact language, mine, as if it's something they own. It's not. It's an emotion. My anxiety stopped me from doing this. I'm like, it didn't stop you. You got some feedback that, unfortunately, when you're disconnected, when you're in a state of fight, that scared you a little bit. And instead of opening the door to understand what it is, you shut it and you ran away. You're always going to get that same feeling. So the only way to overcome anxiety is accept that it's an alarm bell, or there's some kind of journey that you've got to go through to overcome it. Action always eliminates anxiety. You've got to take the correct actions. Unfortunately, a lot of people, anxiety has now become an emotion. I don't want to use the word excuse. I'm going to be very careful with my words. It's become a justification to not do the things that scare them. I can't. That's what I did. I can't. I'm anxious. I can't do it. But that was the very thing that was creating the anxiety on the back end. A negative feedback loop of just constantly being scared because I wasn't doing the work. So people who are anxious, creative people, have got a talent, are special. They've got something inside of them. If you didn't have anxiety, you wouldn't give a shit because your body would just be like, you can waste your life. Who cares? We're not going to give you anxiety because you're all right with it. There you are. There about that. You've got it for a reason because your inner authentic self is crying out to try and communicate with the subconscious. Please listen to me. You've buried us deep down within all this chaos, all the insecurities and the flaws and the false limiting beliefs you've got that you're trying to, that you think are true. The fact that you want to be right and you're not willing to be wrong. The fact that you're not willing to listen to anyone like what I'm saying right now. There's people who have already mentally checked out are listening to me, Amanda, right now, already mentally checked out. Oh, he's talking shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. My doctor said this. It's like, come on, man. How long do you want to play this game? Yeah. In the moment I decided I ain't listening to that game, I'm listening to what I want. What's authentic about me right now? Fucking nothing. I'm lying to myself. Let's remove who I'm not, and it revealed who I was. Anxiety went away.
Let's not underestimate depression or anxiety though, because if it is coming from your subconscious, let's never underestimate the pain that people are feeling. It's just exactly like you say. If we can see it as a warning, if we can see it as an alarm, if we can see it as this is my subconscious trying to bring a message to me. We can only store about 7 chunks of information consciously. Everything else is subconscious. All the suggestions that are coming in from everywhere may be helping you, may not be helping you. I think the best thing to do really is if you are experiencing pain, if you are experiencing anxiety, if you're having issues with food, if you want a better relationship with yourself, with your wealth, with your health, with your finances, with anything in your life, you want to make that changes. Those changes need to occur at the subconscious level, and there needs to be some inner work done, and simply asking for help, reaching out to somebody like
self-acceptance, Amanda. The first stage of the healing process is to stop running away from it, going, you know what it is? I'm struggling right now. Because what most people do, what I did, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel depressed? This is not fair. That was the exact thing, keeping it stuck. I had to go, you know what? I'm depressed here. I'm really struggling. What do I need to do to get better? And it's almost like the pressure just went, down a little bit. I accepted I was struggling. Instead of resisting it, instead of trying to put my head through a brick wall every day and wish and hope that it went away, because it's not, you've got to do some healing. Self-acceptance is the first part of the healing process. Once you've accepted it to be true, you've kind of stopped resisting reality, you'll stop getting punched in the face. Because that's what we're doing when we're resisting reality. We're in a fight with the universe. We're going, no, I don't want you there. So they're just smashing your back to remind you, hey, you're in a fight here. And if you go, you know what, I'm in a fight, you'll stop getting hit. If you just accept it, you'll stop getting punched in the face. And then you can actually move rather than just being in the fight. You've got to zoom out a little bit, get out the ring. You know what I mean? Get out the ring, zoom out, go in the crowd, just have a look at what's going on. Take a picture. That's what worked for me. It's what's worked for hundreds of my clients.
And I think for many people, imagining a life without anxiety, imagining a life without depression, imagining a life where they're completely pain-free, or where they're the shape and size that they want to be, or whether they, where they can go to a restaurant and have whatever they want to eat, but what they're choosing is just naturally healthier, more vibrant life-giving foods. I think people quite often get stuck in a negative way of feeling and being, and can't even imagine what a future would look like.
I couldn't see past the day. I couldn't see past my own pain that day. And it was unbelievable when I think about it. Looking back where I am now, in hindsight's a wonderful thing. But when I was in that moment, back then, if I was listening to us have this conversation now, Amanda, I would have said, no, that's not true. I literally would have said, this is not true. This is what makes me almost feel humorous about it, because I'm like, I remember the person I was back then. It's only 3-4 years ago, 2018. I would have clicked off this. I would have been writing an angry status on Facebook now. These two wallies talk about mental health. They don't have a clue. I would have been doing that. So I can laugh about it because I've been through that. I'm like, you know what it is? I did not have a clue. And I think a lot of the time depression is when basically our ego is so hurt. It's so hurt. And because of valid things, trauma, horrible things that's happening to people. They didn't deserve it. So anyone who's struggling with depression, anxiety right now, you're not doing it on purpose. This is not what we're saying. We're not saying it's your fault and you want to blame. We're just saying you don't know what you don't know. Imagine getting in a car before you've done your driving test and being expected to go on the motorway and do a lap of what's it called? Silverstone or whatever it's called. The lap of the Formula One driving car. You couldn't do it. You haven't learned that data yet, so you can't do it. That's what I see depression as. You just haven't learned it yet, so you can't do what you don't know. Your subconscious can't communicate with you if you don't have that data yet. You've got to be able to relax, fight off by getting yourself safe, by asking for help, looking to form connections with nature, meaningful values, people. We are intimate creatures. If you isolate yourself, you're going to be in a state of fight or flight because your subconscious will remind you need people to survive. 100,000 years ago, man, we couldn't have survived on our own. We had to have people while they're hunting, looking for mammoths. We're getting the water supply. When they're hunting, we're making the fire. When the men are out getting the animals, the women are looking after the children. Like, we had to have people in our life to survive. If we are on our own and isolating myself, which is exactly what I did, by the way, isolate myself in my room, no wonder I created more of those negative feelings. I was disconnected. Other people are, but you don't know what you don't know. People, it's not your fault. You just didn't know this. Maybe after.
And what I love about Natalie was doing with you was she was actually taking you to meet with your future self. And one of the many tools that we have in our toolbox, it's about setting really achievable goals, and it's about showing people what a future without anxiety looks like. It's about seeing a life where you're full of joy. It's about experiencing or seeing or touching and connecting with the life that you want, just using the power of your imagination. But if you can't even imagine what life looks like, slimmer, happier, healthier, with a better relationship with food, how are you even going to get there? You need to have a little bit of an idea of where you're going before you head in that direction. And I think for many people, they've become so stuck in an old way of being, they don't know where to start. And that's where working with somebody like yourself, Sam, is really, really powerful, because you help people to see a future and then we help to guide them towards it. And it's such an empowering process because you are choosing the life that you want. We are the creators, we are the masters of our own life. And very often we do not feel like that. And that's what working with people like yourself and myself do. We empower you to make the choices that you want to make to improve your life. And that's wonderful. We're not just giving you a pill and sending you away. We're not.
If it was that easy, it would be available, right?
Exactly.
It doesn't exist, It's all about inner healing, and whether it's emotionally with a coach like myself, whether it's working with a PTSD coach, whether it's working with an anxiety coach. Yeah, I know people who work specifically with anxiety coaches because they've got this fear about. And have you noticed anxiety is always a what if statement? What if this happens? What if that happens? Basically, that's code for it's your bloody imagination. It's your imagination. You don't even know. It's untrained thoughts that have spiraled down the rabbit hole, and you've catastrophized what might happen out of fear of probably something that's previously happened. It's just a safety response. Again, it's this saber-toothed tiger might be there, so I better check. That's all it is. And once I realized that, oh my God, I couldn't see a future because I couldn't see past my own problems. That's exactly why I was getting the anxiety, because it was telling us, hey, what if you don't have a future? Mad. It's crazy, And I think it's called inquiry. You've got to inquire into every single thought you have. 95% of your thoughts are probably not real. How many mad thoughts do you have when you dream? Imagine if we believed our dreams. I'd be in prison if my dreams were real. Seriously. That's thoughts. One's subconscious, one's conscious. Yet we believe our waking thoughts to be true. We run with it. Assumptional presumption. We assume something might happen and presume it's going to happen. So we go, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't go outside and meet people. What if someone judges us? That's just an internal ego communicating with you. You're judging yourself. You're not happy. You're a failure. You're this, you're that. It's your internal ego judging you, not other people. Come on. But people can't see it, So inquire into every single thought you have. You can't change your thoughts. You can't stop them. You can't stop them coming in. It's like turning a tap on, it just comes out. But inquire your thoughts. Why am I having this thought? Is it genuinely real, or is it just my subconscious programming trying to trick me? Because we're being bombarded with all this stuff, this lifestyle, 40,000 messages a day. girl? Are you worth it? M&M, sexy food. The whole life. It's not going to change unless we internally take control of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Any final points you want to cover, Amanda?
Well, I don't know how we're doing for time, really, because we've gone on for ages and ages and ages. But all I can really say is that if you are struggling, ask for help. Get help. There is the NHS right now is on its knees. It's struggling to provide essential help for people who are in a really bad way. So empower yourself and get the help. It's the hardest thing is picking up the telephone or jumping online. But you can message myself and you can get in touch with Sam as well. Just ask for help. And if we're not the right people to work with, we're both well connected with lots of other people. We can certainly signpost you in the right direction.
I say that to people all the time. I'm like, let's jump on a call. Let's talk about your needs. And you know what? If you are not a fit, I will tell you. I don't work with people who I don't think I can help. Otherwise, I feel useless. Why would I do that? If I can't help you, I'll tell you. So I'm sure you do the same as well. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. We could generally chat all day. I think we're gonna have to do a part 2, Amanda, because
because I didn't even know that we got to some of the questions that you sent me. We just got on to food.
How are you doing for time, Amanda? Do you have a next appointment? Because I've got about half an hour.
I do have a next appointment. Let me just check my schedule. Give me a moment. I apologise. Yeah, I'm all right for a little. No, I've really got to go. I've really got to go.
No worries. What we'll do is we'll schedule a part 2. Yeah, we could talk about this all day, but yeah, absolutely, I really appreciate that. I will make sure I get your contact details in the comments as well. But yes,
I'm just UK if you want to find me on Tinterweb, and if you're looking at training in this, if you want to help people in the way that we do, it's just the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy. Come send us a message, get in touch, and if you're not feeling good, get in touch as well. Reach out, pick up the phone, jump on the website, fill in the inquiry form, and we'll get in touch with you. And like I say, if you're not the right fit, if we're not the right people to help you, we will signpost you in the right direction. But the hardest thing, I think, is asking for help. So
it is.
Embrace that hardest thing. Do something good for yourself today and ask for help. I think that's the biggest message I can say.
That is a world-class message to end the podcast on, Amanda.
It's been good chatting. I've right enjoyed it. Let's do it again soon.
We certainly will.